Arsenal and Newcastle battling it out for Leroy Sané. Chelsea eyeing a January swoop for Victor Osimhen, Real Madrid close to a free transfer for Alphonso Davies, Erling Haaland's future in question, Barca, Real or PSG, and Adrien Rabiot makes a surprise return to Ligue 1. We're talking about this and more today. Friends, these are the top 10 most exciting football news stories right now. Buckle up and enjoy the show. Erling Haaland may be about to pack his bags and head out for a new challenge, and the race to acquire him is heating up like never before. So here's the scoop. Haaland's future at City is suddenly looking a lot less certain, despite him being under contract until 2027. Yeah, you heard that right. According to the latest reports, 3 of Europe's biggest clubs, Barcelona, Real Madrid and PSG, are in an all-out war to secure his signature. And let me tell you, this is shaping up to be one of the most intense transfer sagas we've seen in years. Now, we all know Haaland's been absolutely tearing it up in the Premier League. I mean, 99 goals in 103 appearances for City. That's just insane. The guy's a goal-scoring beast, and he's only 24. But it seems like Haaland's got his eyes set on a new adventure, and word on the street is that he's already given the green light for Barcelona to make their move. Can you imagine that? Haaland at the Camp Nou, leading the line for Barca. Talk about a dream signing. But wait, it's not just Barca who are drooling at the thought of Haaland in their colours. Real Madrid and PSG are right there in the mix too. It's like a classic El Clasico off the pitch, with PSG crashing the party. Because of course, when it comes to big money signings, PSG are always in the conversation, right? So, what's driving this potential move? Well, apparently, Haaland wants an affordable release clause in his new City contract, one that would make it easier for a club like Barca to snap him up. And can you blame him? The guy's got ambitions. He wants to compete for the Ballon d'Or and continue growing as a player. But the real question is, will Manchester City let him go that easily? Honestly, this is one of those transfers that could change the landscape of European football. If Haaland does end up in La Liga, it could be a game changer for either Barca or Madrid. And for PSG, adding Haaland to their already star-studded lineup, that's just terrifying for the rest of Europe. But what do you think? Should Haaland stay at City and become a Premier League legend? Or is it time for him to take on a new challenge in Spain or France? And if he does leave, where would you like to see him go? Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG? This is the kind of debate we live for as football fans. Barcelona have just dropped a bombshell. They've reportedly rejected a mind-blowing €250 million offer from PSG for their teenage sensation Lamine Yamal. That's right, €250 million for a 17-year-old, and Barca didn't even blink. They straight up said, no! This is a massive statement from the Catalan giants. PSG, desperate to fill that Mbappé-sized hole in their squad, tried to lure Yamal away, but Barcelona made it crystal clear. Yamal is not for sale. And honestly, can you blame them? The kid is a phenom. He's been tearing it up since he was 15, straight out of La Masia, and now he's already making waves with Spain at Euro 2024. But here's the thing, his current contract? It's not even close to matching his value. The guy's been pulling in just €1.5 million a year. Can you believe that? €1.5 million for a player who's already being touted as the next Messi? It's almost laughable. But don't worry, Barca's on top of it. Rumor has it, they're ready to give him a much-deserved pay bump and lock him down until 2030. That's a serious move, and honestly, it's about time. If they want to keep this kid around and avoid another Neymar-style saga, they've got to show him the money, right? But let's talk about that PSG offer for a second. You've got to admire their ambition, but this rejection from Barcelona, it's a power move. They're basically telling the world, Yamal is our future, and we're not letting him go for any price. And you know what? I'm all for it. So what do you think? Will Lamine Yamal agree to a new contract with Barca, or could this turn into a blockbuster transfer saga? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to hear what you all think. And if you believe Lamine Yamal is the future of Barcelona and should be kept at all costs, smash that like button and let's get the conversation going. The kid's only 17, but he's already a superstar in the making. Let's make sure he stays right here in Catalonia. Arsenal and Newcastle United are both eyeing a potential blockbuster move for Bayern Munich's Leroy Sané, with both clubs keen to bring him back to the Premier League. With Sané's contract at Bayern expiring next summer, Arsenal and Newcastle see a golden opportunity to swoop in. Can you imagine Sané tearing it up at the Emirates or St James's Park next season? At 28, Sané is still in his prime, and both clubs know exactly what they'd be getting. His time at Manchester City was a masterclass. 54 goal contributions in 90 appearances, 2 Premier League titles. He's already proven he can handle the intensity of English football. No adjustment period necessary, just plug and play. Arsenal had their eye on Sané before the window closed last month, but instead opted for Raheem Sterling. Now, the Gunners are back in the mix alongside Newcastle, watching closely as contract talks between Sané and Bayern Munich unfold. Bayern want to keep him, but here's the kicker. Sané might need to take a pay cut if he stays in Germany. Could that be the nudge Arsenal and Newcastle need to lure him away? Sané is a game changer. His pace is electric, his shooting from long range is lethal, and his vision in the final third creates endless chances for teammates. He can play across the front line, whether on the right, left, or even as an attacking midfielder, giving Mikel Arteta or Eddie Howe some serious flexibility. Imagine Sané linking up with Bukayo Saka, or causing havoc alongside Alexander Isak. Premier League defenders would have nightmares. Both Arsenal and Newcastle are quietly waiting to see how things pan out in Munich, and they're ready to pounce. If Sané decides to leave Bayern, he's not going to be short on options. Do you think we'll see him back in the Premier League? And if so, will it be Arsenal or Newcastle that gets the deal done? At 28, this might be the perfect time for Sané to return to the league where he's already a proven star. And either way, it's going to be one of the biggest stories of next summer. Real Madrid are on the verge of pulling off yet another transfer masterclass, and this time it's Alphonso Davies who's set to don the famous white jersey. And get this, he could be joining for free. Yeah, you heard that right. After snapping up Kylian Mbappé for €0 this summer, Los Blancos are looking to repeat the magic with Alphonso Davies. According to the latest reports, the Canadian speedster is in the final stretch of negotiations with Madrid, and come January 2025, he could be signing a pre-contract that'll see him head to the Bernabeu next summer. This is the kind of move that makes you wonder, how do they do it, right? How do they? Seriously. The way Real Madrid operate in the transfer market is something else. They've got this knack for convincing top talents to run down their contracts and then swoop in to sign them for nada. If that's not a boss move, I don't know what is. Now let's talk about what this means. Davies has been a standout at Bayern Munich, blistering pace, solid defensive skills, and the ability to terrorize opposing defenders from the left flank. He's been a key player for Bayern, but with his contract running out next June, Madrid's been lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and it looks like that moment is almost here. Honestly, I think Davies is making a smart move by not renewing with Bayern. Sure, Bayern's a powerhouse, but how do you turn down the chance to play for Real Madrid? The allure of following in the footsteps of legends like Roberto Carlos and Marcelo is just too strong. Plus, with Madrid's track record of developing world-class players, this could be the perfect next step in his career. But what do you think? Would Alphonso Davies be a good fit for Real Madrid? Can he fill that left-back role and continue the legacy? I mean, the thought of him linking up with Mbappé and co is enough to give any Madridista goosebumps. And let's not forget how Bayern fans must be feeling right now. They've seen this movie before. Player runs down their contract, Madrid swoops in, and boom, another superstar heads to Spain. Yikes! January can't come soon enough for Madrid fans, but I bet Bayern supporters are hoping for a last-minute twist in the tale. So, here's the big question. Will Alphonso Davies move to Real Madrid for free, or will Bayern pull off a miracle and get him to sign an extension? Or could it be that Madrid will have to cough up a hefty sum if Bayern manage to convince him to stay? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This is one transfer saga you don't want to miss. According to the ever-reliable Christian Falk of Bild, it looks like Xavi Simons might just be heading to the English Premier League after his loan spell at Leipzig wraps up. And we're not talking just any Premier League team, nope, it's Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. That's right, folks, the citizens are eyeing Simons as a potential replacement for none other than Kevin De Bruyne. The Belgian maestro himself has been dropping hints that his time at City might be coming to an end next summer, and if that happens, City will need someone to fill those massive boots. And who better than one of the most exciting young talents in Europe? Now, we all know how crucial KDB has been for City. 6 Premier League titles, a Champions League trophy, countless assists, and memories that'll last a lifetime. But as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. De Bruyne's contract is winding down, and while there's still a chance he might stay, There's also talk of him possibly heading to the MLS or even the Saudi Pro League. At 33, the man's still got it, but who knows what the future holds. Let's talk numbers. Transfermarkt currently values Simons at a cool 80 million euros. And with PSG's tricky contract situation, that might just be the price tag City needs to cough up. Last season, Simons racked up 10 goals and 15 assists, catching the eyes of pretty much every top club in Europe. The kid's got serious talent, and it's no wonder clubs like Bayern and Liverpool are also sniffing around. But here's where it gets really interesting. Simons is only 21, and the decision to stay at Leipzig for another season could be a masterstroke. Leipzig is like a showcase for young talent, and with every top club in Europe watching, Simons is in the perfect spot to up his game and prove he's ready for the big leagues. Imagine him stepping onto the Etihad pitch, taking over the reins from De Bruyne. It's a mouth-watering prospect, isn't it? And really, who would have thought that Simons would be in the crosshairs of Bayern, Liverpool, and Man City all at once? I mean, this guy's dance card is more packed than a World Cup final. City's style of play under Pep demands creativity, vision, and flair, all of which Simons has in spades. And let's not forget, City has a habit of turning young stars into world beaters. Remember when they signed a young Leroy Sané? Yeah, we all know how that turned out. So, what do you think? Was Simons right to stay another season in Leipzig? And more importantly, where do you think he should go next? Should he make the leap to Manchester City and try to fill the void left by De Bruyne? Or is there another club that would be a better fit for the Dutch Dynamo? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's get this debate rolling. Chelsea might just be lining up a January swoop for none other than Victor Osimhen. Yeah, you heard that right. The Nigerian powerhouse who was tearing up Serie A not too long ago could be heading to Stamford Bridge this winter. But how did we get here? And why is this such a big deal? Let's break it down. So, here's the lowdown. Chelsea were hot on Osimhen's heels this summer. The Blues wanted him bad, but the deal fell through at the last minute. Napoli's asking price, sky high, Osimhen's wage demands, even higher. Rumour has it, the man wanted £400,000 a week. Madness, right? Chelsea made a solid offer, but couldn't quite match the Nigerian's demands, and just like that, the deal went cold. Instead of lighting up the Premier League, Osimhen ended up at Galatasaray on loan. Galatasaray of all places. Who would have thought? Not PSG, not Chelsea, but Galatasaray. But here's the kicker. Napoli slipped in a sneaky little break clause in that loan deal. Come January, they can recall him and sell him off to the highest bidder. And with his contract running out in 2026, Napoli are desperate to cash in before they risk losing him for nothing. Chelsea's radar is locked on Osimhen again, and this time they might just get their man. His release clause? A mere £63 million now. That's pocket change in today's market, especially for a striker who bagged 26 goals in Serie A just 2 seasons ago. And with Chelsea's current striker situation, well, let's just say they could use a guy like Osimhen leading the line. But here's the thing, Chelsea won't be the only ones sniffing around. You've got the usual suspects from Europe's elite, and don't forget those deep-pocketed clubs in the Middle East. Everyone's going to want a piece of this action. Honestly, I think Chelsea should go all in on this one. They need a clinical finisher, and Osimhen could be the missing piece to turn them back into title contenders. But it's a gamble. Will he adapt to the Premier League's intensity? That's the million-dollar question. So what do you think? Will Chelsea finally get their man in January, or is this saga set to drag on? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And while you're at it, let's hear your take on Osimhen's collapsed summer move and the potential for him to light up the Premier League this winter. This one's going to be big, don't miss out. Virgil van Dijk might be swapping the Premier League for Serie A next summer if things don't get sorted out at Anfield. Juventus and Inter Milan are circling like hawks, ready to pounce if Liverpool can't lock him down with a new deal. Can you imagine Van Dijk bossing it in Italy? Scary thought for attackers. Van Dijk's contract is ticking down, with less than 10 months to go, and come January, he'll be free to chat with any club outside England. Juventus and Inter are more than ready to offer him a new challenge, and let's be honest, playing for a Serie A heavyweight wouldn't be a bad move for the 33-year-old. But let's take a step back. Liverpool aren't going to let this slide without a fight. New boss Arne Slot, who arrived after Liverpool forked out £9.4 million in compensation to Feyenoord, will be desperate to keep the Reds' backline solid with Van Dijk leading the charge. The club's already brought in Federico Chiesa from Juventus for £12.5 million, a slick move that gives Slot more attacking options. but losing Van Dijk? That would be a serious blow. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Van Dijk's on a cool £220,000 a week, and while he's been ever present for Liverpool this season, there's no guarantee he's sticking around. Juventus and Inter have their eyes on him, but Van Dijk himself has hinted that he wants to stay at Anfield. He even turned down the riches of Saudi Arabia to remain in Europe. So what's the holdup? It's going to come down to whether Liverpool can offer the right deal. Sure, the Reds are hopeful they can extend his stay, but if things aren't wrapped up soon, Serie A could be calling. I'll throw it out to you. Do you think Van Dijk should stay at Liverpool or take on a new adventure in Italy? Personally, I think it'd be weird seeing him in anything other than red, but hey, football is full of surprises. Adrien Rabiot, the mercurial French midfielder, is on the move again. After an entire summer of speculation, where would he go? Who would snap him up? Rabiot has finally made his decision. And surprise, it's not a Premier League club or even another Serie A giant. Nope, he's headed back to Ligue 1, joining none other than Marseille on a free transfer. Yeah, you heard that right. Rabiot will be linking up with Mason Greenwood at the Stade Vélodrome. Marseille's been on a rampage this transfer window, and this is just the latest in a string of big signings after bringing in Greenwood and appointing Roberto De Zerbi as their new gaffer. De Zerbi's building something special down in the south of France, and Rabiot's the latest piece of the puzzle. But let's be real here. Who saw this one coming? Marseille swooping in to land Rabiot? Not me. We all thought he'd be strutting his stuff at Old Trafford or maybe even the Emirates. But nope, he's going back to his roots in France. Could this be a power move or just another roll of the dice for a player who's had his fair share of ups and downs? Now, let's not forget the drama behind the scenes. Rabiot's mum, Veronique, is as famous as he is at this point. She's been pulling the strings as his agent, and rumours are swirling that she wasn't about to let her son settle for anything less than a €10 million signing bonus. That's right, 10 million. It's almost like she's more interested in making bank than seeing him thrive on the pitch. And honestly, has anyone else noticed how her demands have made it tough for him to land at a top-tier club? Just saying. But hey, it's a fresh start for Rabiot. He's got a 2-year deal in hand, a top-class manager, and a chance to prove himself again in Ligue 1. Will this be the move that revitalizes his career? Can he get back into Didier Deschamps' good graces and earn a spot in the national team? Football is a game of opinions, as Sir Alex Ferguson once said, and boy, are there plenty of opinions on this one. So what do you think? Is Rabiot a good fit for Marseille? Will his move to Ligue 1 be the turning point in his career, or is this just another chapter in the saga of Adrien Rabiot? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and tell us, why does Rabiot keep listening to his mum instead of following his own path? Let's hear it. Let's dive into some transfer buzz that's been making the rounds. Real Madrid and Manchester City's midfield maestro, Rodri. Now, we've all heard the rumours, but let's set the record straight. Real Madrid are not about to splash €100 million on Rodri. Yup, you heard me right. According to Defensa Central, Los Blancos have no intention of breaking the bank for the Spanish international, despite what some of the gossip might say. Sure, Rodri's one of the best defensive midfielders in Europe right now, no one's denying that. He's been a rock in City's midfield, but Real Madrid's transfer strategy these days is all about being smart, not reckless. So what's the deal? Why isn't Madrid going all out for a player like Rodri? Well, it comes down to a few things. First off, that $100 million price tag is a big red flag for Madrid's top brass. They're not about to shell out that kind of cash for a player who's nearing 29. The club's focus is on younger talent or players who can be snapped up for a bargain. Think of how they landed David Alaba and Antonio Rudiger. Both came on free transfers and have been solid additions to the squad. And let's be real for a second. The only way Real Madrid would seriously consider Rodri is if something wild happened, like Manchester City being hit with some massive sanctions and getting relegated. Imagine that, City in the Championship, and suddenly their stars are up for grabs at discount prices. It's like a footballer's version of a Black Friday sale. But let's not hold our breath on that one, folks. Honestly, as much as I'd love to see Rodri in a Madrid shirt, I think the club's making the right call here. Spending big on a player who's nearly 29 doesn't quite fit with the current philosophy. Madrid's been all about long-term planning and building a squad that'll stay competitive for years, not just for the next season or two. But what do you think? Should Madrid make an exception and go after Rodri, even if it means coughing up a huge sum? Or is it better to stick to their guns and focus on younger, more financially sensible options? Could Rodri actually be the missing piece in Madrid's midfield puzzle, or would it be a classic case of overspending? So here's the big question for you. Will Real Madrid ever make a move for Rodri, or is this just another transfer rumor that'll fade away? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Rodri's worth the hype and the hefty price tag, or should Madrid look elsewhere? Erik ten Hag's position as Manchester United manager is hanging by a thread, and the pressure is on. No guarantees, no safety net. He's got a month to prove that his Red Devils are heading in the right direction. Can he do it? Will we see the old Manchester United spark back on the pitch? That's the million-dollar question. Or should I say the billion-pound question? Yep. So Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos has splashed out a whopping £1.2 billion to buy a 25% stake in the club, taking control of football operations. Big money, big expectations. And after that win over Southampton. Last weekend, Ten Hag might just be breathing a little easier, but it's far from smooth sailing. Now, let's talk transfers. Manuel Ugarte, £50 million from PSG. That's a solid deal, right? But here's the catch. £180 million spent this summer alone, and Ratcliffe's looking for more than just scraping by for European qualification. Nope, they want the whole enchilada. Premier League glory, Champions League football, the works. If Ten Hag doesn't deliver, well, let's just say his time in Manchester might be shorter than expected. But don't get me wrong, he's had some high moments. FA Cup glory, 70 wins under his belt, and he's got a decent squad. The question is, does he have what it takes to build an identity at this club? Because let's face it, Manchester United are desperate to find their mojo again since Sir Alex left, and dropping out of Champions League qualification last season. That didn't help. Ten Hag's salary took a hit. And with Ratcliffe pulling the strings now, this is his last chance to show he's the man for the job. But here's the kicker. Tottenham, Porto and Aston Villa are on the horizon. These fixtures will either be his rise or his downfall. If United doesn't pull some big performances out of the bag, the powers that be won't hesitate to look for someone else. I'll leave you with this. Will Erik ten Hag still be at Manchester United come May? What do you reckon? And don't even get me started on the transfers. I'd say Ugarte's got potential, but this better not be another expensive bust like we've seen in past seasons.